This is the burning issue on the happy world of 5FM radio, bringing you hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
Yes, indeed. And it's all about burning issues here on the happy world of 5FM radio. It is a Tuesday edition of the burning issue, and we are grateful that you tuned in to 89.9 here in Lusaka and the surrounding areas. Remember, we are also live on our partner radio stations. And of course, we are on Tuta FM in Luapula, precisely Mansa, and they are on 90.7 FM. Remember, we are also live on Spice FM in Kabwe Central Province, and here in Lusaka I stated 89.9, and Spice FM in Kabwe and Southern Provinces on 91.1. Remember to catch that live. The good part about the radio this time around, catch it live on various online platforms. Remember, these stations that I've mentioned are also available on other online platforms such as Radio Garden, and of course Simple Radio is one of them, or Radio Box if you like. All those are apps that you can download on your phone and listen to this particular conversation live from anywhere around the world. We're also live on our Facebook page. Remember, it's 5FM Radio Zambia, and I'm your host, Zachariah Banda. Now, today, we decided that we will be discussing a lot more around football, and more so the women football. My guest this morning is Mr. Shalala Oliver Sepiso, who is the Chief Executive Officer, CEO, if you like, for the Elite Ladies Football Club here, which is based here in Lusaka. It is a club that has obviously been in the Women's League for quite some time now. Oliver, always a pleasure to have you. This time around, yes, we have you for different politics. It's
Yes,
football
yes.
politics.
Yes. Sometimes it's good to wear many hats,
Yeah.
because then you get a chance to be on media more often.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
today I'm purely here for football.
Yeah,
And yes, we'll address football politics as well as we go on.
absolutely.
Yes.
Good to see you.
So morning to listeners.
yeah.
Morning to you, Zach, and morning to the staff.
How have you been?
I've been quite okay.
Yeah?
I've been quite good. Surviving the load shedding.
Yeah.
Trying to make the best of the situation.
Yeah,
Football-wise, I think we are doing very well. Excellent.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no load shedding in football, so
No.
you
For women's
definitely.
football,
Yes.
For
But
men's football, a lot of load shedding.
I know, right? We'll discuss the men's football as well. But just tell us briefly about what Elite Ladies Football Club is all about, and when was it formed?
Yeah, Elite Ladies Football Club started as Lusaka Dynamo's Ladies Football Club.
Okay.
So it was formed in July 2020. By that time, I think FIFA was trying to move to a direction where all the Super League men's teams were having a women's team.
Yeah.
So Lusaka Dynamos, being one of the pioneers that time, thought fit to start a women's team, which they did. And then just a few months later, there was a rethinking within Lusaka Dynamos to abandon the women's team. So by that time, I was the chief executive officer of Lusaka Dynamos. So, and I was also on my way out of Lusaka Dynamos. So I decided, okay, looking at the girls that we had, some of them were quite excellent. I'm sure you know Siomara Mapepa and the others. So that was the crop of players we had. So now to think that we could lose
Such talent,
players, so I decided, okay, I'm going to take on the team. So I decided to pick up the team. Yeah, so over
Single-handedly.
Yeah, single-handedly. It hasn't been easy, but of course, people like my wife and others allowed the situation to continue, and they've been supporting. Then I've got a lot of supportive friends and a few corporate companies that have also been chipping in. Yeah.
So Elite Ladies, in short, is not attached to Lusaka Dynamos anymore?
No. So the only attachment is obviously the word Elite, which is the nickname for Lusaka Dynamos. So we had to pick something that was giving a bit of hint to our past, and also the colors. You can see I'm dressed in red and white and black, which are traditionally the Lusaka Dynamos colors. So we adopted the same colors for Elite, but there's no relationship between Lusaka Dynamos and Elite since 2021.
And when did Elite Ladies get into the Premier League?
No, we actually went straight because initially the leagues were provincials.
Yes.
So they were provincial leagues, and then in 2020, FAS decided to introduce a national league.
Yeah.
So at that time, there was a chance even for those who had never been in any league to apply. So we applied, and then the key thing that time was to show that you've got capacity.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had capacity as Osaka Dynamos, buses for the players, finances to fund where the players can stay, monies for operations and all that. So we went straight to the Super League. The first year we finished in fourth, second year fourth, third year fourth, and this last year, this just past the league, we finished fifth, but joint points with fourth. So I would say for the last 4 years,
you've been consistent. Yeah. Great.
So so being a club that is not fully sponsored, at least we've done well, because some of the seasons, like this season, we finished ahead of the likes of Red Arrows, funded by ZAF, and Zanaco, funded by Bank, Trident, funded by Mine, and so on and so forth. So I think we've tried, and we've also, I think you've seen over the years, we've produced quite a number of good players. We had 2 players at the World Cup in Siomara and Comfort Selemani. We have 2 players going to the Olympics in Pauline and the Shtete. We have had, in other words, at every international tournament that involves women's football since 2021, we have had at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 players
contributed to.
And we have the under-17s going to the World Cup in October. We expect at least anything between 3 and 7 of our players to be there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now we'll get back to ladies football. I know right now it's thriving. I mean, ladies football, women's football is doing great, even at national level, and I think now even at world level. But let's get down to men's football and Zambia, if we can zero in. What really is the problem? Zambia's men's teams have not performed very well, more so the Chipolo Polo. I mean, not far away, let's go to the recent COSAFA performance. It's the worst performance Zambia has ever recorded at a tournament, without scoring a goal, conceding 6 goals.
Yeah, there are a number of factors. I think chief of them is investment. There hasn't been very good investment in the men's game.
In which way? In which area of investment?
At club level.
Is this infrastructure? Is this
that's one of the factors. Infrastructure is underrated, but it's one of the most important factors in developing players. Even at my personal level, I've noticed that whenever we have access to the best grounds, we do well. 2 years ago, Elite Ladies was at Woodland Stadium. We are going back again this season. We did better in that year when we were at Woodlands than when we were playing from Nasdaq. But we also did better at Nasdaq when the ground was worked on and it was smoother than when it was rough. So you can't develop players with the kind of pitches that we are currently using. If you look at almost all the Super League teams, maybe save for a few like Power Dynamos who have got an excellent training pitch, you can even see how Power Dynamos plays their game. They've got an excellent training pitch. The rest of the teams, they hardly have very good training pitches. They may have the main pitch for games, but the training pitches may not be to scratch. So we are not investing in the most important critical areas, which is training pitches, gymnasiums, and things like that. Then more importantly, the investment in the actual talent. We just don't have the talent right now. If you look at the national team, there is no talent there. Our main striker, the one we consider our best striker, he was playing in the English championship last year, and he wasn't even a consistent starter. That shows you. Look at our friends in Nigerians. Most of their players will be starters where they are. Even those who don't make the national team, they are starters in the clubs where they are. So we need to go back and reinvest in identifying talent and moving on. A number of clubs like Atletico Lusaka, Kafue Celtic are doing that. Kafue Celtic has got satellite clubs in Northwestern Province, in Western Province called Barosi Celtic, and the like. And you find that they are able to tap in. They will do tournaments where they bring clubs from Solwezi, from Ilunga, from where they tap in talent. They bring the boys into Lusaka. Then when they are of age, they are done with schools, they start playing in the main team in Lusaka. That is commendable. If we can replicate that across other clubs, that would work. The problem is we have, I don't want to really be disparaging of our administrators, but I would say the current crop of administrators, we are quite lazy. We are looking at just final product. You want to buy players who are ready to play, but who do you want to develop that player for you? We need to invest more in developing those players so that they play. Right now, our clubs are struggling. CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation. We haven't had a team in the group stages for a number of years. We used to be top 10 league in Africa. we have dropped to maybe 16, 17, 18. That's not a good sign. So investment is key. Like you mentioned, infrastructure is another area. Talent identification is the third area. So we need to work on those. Third and maybe more important, fourth and maybe more importantly is consistency. We don't have consistent teams. If you look at the team of 2012, that team was together for, I think, almost 6 years. When Carlos stayed as coach, he had those people. They didn't do well in 2008, then 2010, they tried go to the quarterfinals area. Then 2012, they managed to win the Africa Cup. The mistake we made is we did not continue developing another crop. Then when you look at the current team, we have modeled it around the 2016 under 20. Most of the players in the senior team now are from 2016 under 20. What about 2017? What about 2018? What about 2019 until 2024? Where are the under 20s of this year? So we haven't had a consistent development process where we pick up the best players, we put them together, they play consistently together, and we have product. If you look at the COSAFA team that went last week, most of those players are towards the end of their careers. Why would you carry such older players to lose with kids? I always say in football, it's good to lose the right way than to win the wrong way. So it's better to lose while you're learning than to win while you're learning nothing, because that win will not add to something. So I think for me, those are the main issues. One, we just don't have the talent. We haven't developed the right talent right now. We need to get back to developing young talent. We don't have a consistent team, of course, plus coaches. Then we are not developing the infrastructure to develop our players. And lastly, we are not investing into teams at club level to be able to produce a very good national team.
Do you think that, taking you back to the COSAFA outing, do you think that the Football Association of Zambia took a gamble on taking a whole different technical bench with that team to go and defend the trophy or to go and defend the championship?
The mistake, for me personally, I think it was a mistake to take a team to COSAFA to defend. I think we should have sent a team to go develop. We made the same mistake once in the women's. For the women's, we did well last year.
Yeah, because you took the all different.
We won it the previous year.
Yeah.
The following year, we took a young team. So we still reached the final. And we still did well in the final. At some point, it was 1-1, then we lost to Malawi. But if you saw the team that was playing for Malawi, it was the senior team, all the best players except maybe Chawinga, who was missing. And it was actually only Chawinga. The younger Chawinga, Temwa was there. It was the older sister who was missing. But the rest of the players were there. For Zambia, we didn't have any of the star players. That's where we developed the likes of Pauline Zulu.
Yeah, and yes. South Africa has been consistent on such, I think.
With South Africa...
with taking new teams altogether.
When South Africa is a bit forced, the clubs don't release their players because COSAFA happens during their season. So they don't like releasing players during that. It's forced. For us, most of the time, COSAFA happens when we are on break. So we have a chance to choose. But I still feel we need to be using a hybrid of players that have got a future in the team and those who are starting, as opposed to those who are towards the end of their careers. Because those have nothing to lose.
Yeah. While we are at it, I mean, there's a question that has popped up, and I don't want to attend to it much later when we would have really left a particular topic way later. There's a question which I would probably throw in. Say, ask that man what happened to Lusaka Dynamos, because he was in charge when the club was consumed by debt and got liquidated. Then after that, we saw him forming another club, which is elite, obviously, in this case. So tell us the truth around that. I mean, it sank while you were at the helm of it.
No, that's not true.
Okay.
By sinking, I don't know when. I think Lusaka Dynamos was still in the Super League until 2 years ago. I left in 2021, which is not 2 years ago. So my last day at Lusaka Dynamos, we won the APSA Cup. So actually, I left when the team was doing very well. So my last job was the APSA Cup assignment, which we won. The star player in that team was Cooper from Botswana, who I brought here personally. So we're doing well the time I left. There were reasons why I left, and I was an employee, so I was not the one investing. I had a salary. I was a CEO, so I was paid. So I was not the one that was investing. If there were debts, I'm not the one that was paying
Yeah.
those. Or the time I was leaving, Saka Dynamos almost won the league.
Yeah.
They did very well, 2021. So when they were starting the 2021, 2022 season, that's the one where things went wrong. I was not there. I'd left already. So if the listener can just check the dates, you will notice I was not there at the time the team was sinking.
Now, let's get down to a controversial issue around your player, Esther Chitete Monsaka. This is a player who was called to the national team. And when time came to announce the final team, she was dropped. And the reasons were that she was injured. But your club, yourselves, came out and said the player wasn't injured and the player is fit. And the player was again seen flying out with the team. What happened? What's the story behind her injury and now not injured?
Yeah, Esther Shtete Musaka is a young keeper. She's 18. She's turning 19 this year. And she's the under-20 captain. She's been in the under-17s for like 3 years. She was voted the best keeper in Southern Africa, young keeper for two times. She's got a gold medal, COSAF under-17, a silver medal under-17. She's been a keeper for the national team at underage in countries like Seychelles, Mauritius, Cameroon, Uganda, South Africa, Congo. She's got immense experience. She's the best keeper in the local league. Those who watch women's football know that.
Yeah.
Many people don't know her, but she's been developing slowly. So she was called to the senior national team. She was part of the team that went to Morocco when Zambia qualified for the Olympics. She was part of that team. She was also part of the team that was preparing for the World Cup last year, but she was dropped at the last minute. So she's been in the national team for a year plus. Yeah. So when the team for the Olympics was called, she was part of the 35. Then the team was trimmed to about 20 something. She was part of that group. Then within camp, when the coaches were announcing the final team, she was part of the final team. I think everybody has seen that printout where it was typed and the name was there. So she was part of the final team. But on the day that the coach was announcing at FAS, there was a training session in the morning at which she twitched her leg, her knee, sorry. And then the medical staff felt that injury was so serious she couldn't travel and she needed like a month out. So then a call was made to Mr. Bruce Mwape when he was just about to announce. He was at the press conference. He was told, you have to remove the player because the player is injured. Mr. Mwape didn't know much. I mean, he was just told by phone. So he wasn't sure what really. Yeah. So when that happened, the announcement was made. So our club was a bit perturbed. So we made inquiries. Then we discovered the player was basically just physically inspected. There was no testing done. There was no scans done. Nothing. So it was more of an opinion as opposed to a fact. We checked. I asked the player personally, "Are you injured?" She's like, "No, it's just a normal injury, like the ones we have in training every time at the club.
Yeah.
We still play. So, are you going to need a month? No, I'll be fine." So, yeah. So inquiries were made. We made follow-ups, and I think tests were done and everything. I'm not sure what results came, but technical bench reversed their decision, and she traveled.
Do you feel there was foul play in that decision or omission at some point?
I wouldn't say foul play.
Because it was opinion and not fact, like you put it.
I wouldn't say foul play. I would say maybe the medical staff rushed in their decision making, which put the coach in a very awkward position. Right now, I think there's been a lot of backlash on Mr. Mwape, Mr. Bruce Mwape. I can personally say on radio that Mr. Mwape had really nothing to do with that decision. I personally feel bad for him. It's bad that people are attacking him over the issue of the goalkeeper. He was just phoned and he was already near the microphone. He was about to announce. Then he was told on phone. Obviously, he has to trust his staff. Yeah. So I would say not really malice or anything. I'm not sure. I don't have facts to that. I wouldn't be the one to, but I would say that the decision was rushed. More importantly, that this is an alternate keeper. It's not like this is the keeper who's going to be in goals. So I mean, we always have.
She's not first choice. Yeah.
Yeah. From what I know is, when I look at keepers, we have both abroad and around. For me, I can tell you, Zach,
Yeah.
with all the confidence that by next year she'll be the first choice. That I can assure you.
Yeah.
She's the best. So, but this time around, obviously factors were put in terms of experience and other things. She was made as the third choice. So meaning that the first two are the ones who are going to play. So meaning I didn't see the rush to say she needed weeks of treatment. She could have been treated even within camp,
Yeah.
and she could still be okay.
Be better before tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Luke Shaw played for England in the knockout phases. He never played a single game in the rounds because he wasn't totally fit. So in a case, it's not even a serious injury. It is an injury, but not that serious. I think maybe the medical staff rushed because they had not done their testing and all. Yeah. So I think it's something that the staff can learn from. It may have put a negative image on the coach, including the goalkeeper coach. But personally, I know the goalkeeper coach and the head coach had nothing to do with this. It was more of the other staff that made that opinion. And I also know that obviously the first leadership had nothing to do with the dropping of the keeper. Yeah, but I think the right decision was made eventually because everybody knows she's the best keeper. Yeah.
Now, you did make mention about how we are not doing enough in terms of identifying talent in the men's football. And that's the reason why we're not doing well. What would you allude to the success instead on the women's football?
Yeah, on the women's side, we do a lot of talent identification. The same Esther Zachariah we're talking about, she's coming from Choma. She was discovered at Choma Secondary School by a gentleman called Stanford Kawata. She used to be a 100 meters runner, netballer, volleyballer. She's quite multi-talented. Even now, she still plays netball at a high level. So when they saw her, a club called Musport in Choma, run by Mr. Muleya Musenga, who's now in Kasama, and the Stani Muntanga, and Muchindu, who are based in Choma, are the ones that developed that talent. Later on, she played for teams like a team in Livingston called Played Forward, then NAPSA, but eventually she was registered at Elite Ladies. That's where she flourished, and under 17, 3 years in a row, then under 20, then now senior team. So she's just one example. We have girls from Winilunga in the current under 17 national team that is going to the World Cup that beat Morocco mercilessly. One of the girls is from Winilunga. She's called Matilda Mkunda. Very huge, the Winilunga breed, taller than you, Zach.
Oh, yeah?
Big, but she's only 16. So we are able to identify girls like that from different parts of the country. I can clearly tell you, Elite Ladies has got players from Kasama, Nakonde, Mwinilunga, Solwezi, Shirirawombwe, Kitwe, Ndola, Kabwe. We even have players from South Africa. We had 3 players from Botswana. They are back in Botswana now. We had 2 players from Malawi.
Yeah.
One is at TP Mazembe now. One is back in Longwe. We had a player from Congo. Now she's in Italy. So we go around the identifying players. 2 weeks ago, we signed up 4 players. One is from Chazanga. One is from Matero. Another from Kabanana. Then the last from Zingalume. 2 days ago, we signed 2 players from Kamanga, 2 from one from Tendere, one from Kalikiliki. How do we identify all these? We move around, we watch games, we invest time as Super League teams to watch even grassroots football. Do Super League teams in Zambia for men do the same? No. They prefer signing already made players. So that's where the problem is. So I'll give you an example. Next year, I can make a prediction on radio. There's a girl called Joyce Chama. She's a defender. She's 14. I can predict in the next 5 years she's likely to be as good as Pauline Zulu, who's the current first choice defender, central defender for the national team, who comes from our club. With the way we developed Pauline, we believe Joyce will follow the same route. Why? We just looked at the height the player has, the body stature, shape, muscle development, speed, power, and everything. Then we developed the rest from there. You can't pick best players by what they already have. Sometimes you have to inculcate skills knowledge, tactical aptitude, and all that in them over time. So for men's football, it's a little bit different from women's. For women's football, a lot of players play in the Super League straight from the village, straight from provincials. For men's football, it's so difficult to make it into the Super League. And yet the Super League is the one that makes you known for national team engagement. So I think that's where the difference is.
But then football is a business. We all know that. And we have actually had a lot of agents mushrooming. And I think we have now more agents in Zambia, trained, by the way, and FIFA certified agents. But what we are hearing is that they are now going beyond and having such influence even on player selection for serious selections like national team. I don't know if that's the case also on the women, but we know that it's predominant on the men's side. Do you agree that agents have messed up the game because they push players who even are not competent enough?
Yeah, agents will always push players, and that's their job, actually. There's really nothing inherently wrong with that, Zach. An agent is a person that I hire for them to push my brand, for them to market me, for them to make connections for me, and all that. So there's nothing wrong with an agent actually going to a national team coach and telling them, I've got Zach. Zach is 6'2", and Zach can do this and that. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem that comes in is when now the national team coaches are not getting what the agent has given me, and then I follow it up with the reality on the ground, and then I compare with others, and I make an objective opinion. Left alone, the coaches would never make the best coaches. Teams, trust me. Even as in women's football, sometimes we do recommend players where you go and say, I've got a very good defender. I've got a very good defender. I think she can make it in the national team. Then you ask the coaches, come and watch Elite. Then they come and watch. On their own, they will decide, okay, this player is good, and everybody will see it. Okay? But on face value, it looks like it's bad to lobby. No. In every business, be it politics, be it marketing, whatever, there are always lobbyists. Lobbyists are always a big business. If you go to America, lobbying is a very big business. Here in Zambia, it's taken more of corruption in Chekedeko, things like that. In America, it's taken like a proper business. So agents are there for a reason, to market their clients for opportunities. And the problem on the national team, I think, was the issue of Karine, where Karine was being said to have too much power in terms of selection of players. And then because also he was close with the current head coach. But I think the attacks on Karine began way before this coach. There were other coaches who were not under Karine. The same accusations were still there. Yeah, but I think maybe we need to understand, maybe Karine is just a strong character who's able to push for his clients. And maybe other agents should also learn to do that, as opposed to, really attacking Karine like the numbers don't show that Karine controls the national team. There are so many players who are not. But yes, we can see players that sometimes it can be negative. I think Karine was being accused that he was blocking players that were formerly his from going to the national team. I personally have been accused as well of blocking Xiomara Mapepa from the national team. She left our club in very acrimonious circumstances. We still hold claim that she belongs to us, and we still have a FIFA case that is active. But we were being accused that we were blocking her. There will always be those kind of accusations.
But well, she isn't called. She isn't part of the national team now. Do you feel that the problems you have with her has contributed to her being left out of the national team?
Look, it's difficult to comment directly on what could be the reason, but I don't know. I'm not the head coach. I think the head coach is.
But what was the situation? What's the case? Is this something you can comment about? The fact that it's now a FIFA case. Can you comment about what transpired with Mapepa?
No, what transpired was simple. She claimed to have terminated her contract, but she did not follow
with
through.
you,
yes,
with your team.
Yes, but she did not follow through the process. There's a process to it. You have to submit to FIFA or FAS, and then a judgment has to be made. Then you move. But she didn't follow the process. And also,
did she have an agent?
Yes,
Was she working with
yes,
an
but
agent?
the agent she was using was signed a contract with her when the previous agent's contract, who we knew at the club,
Was in effect.
was still in effect. So there was an illegality there, and but she's my child, so to an extent,
She's so much your child because she comes from Mumbwa, where you come from as well.
Yes, she's my child. So I want the best for her. So even now, we are not trying to bring her back. I think we just want compensation. We believe the process used for her to leave was not the right one. So we want her to do well. But the problem now is when she left, she's lost that part we're talking about, where she's being highlighted, she's being marketed, national team coaches can see her. Because where she is now, unless you are very active to be able to follow up, like I was able to watch 4 of her games. I think she played 4 games, but most of them she was as a substitute. I think she didn't score a goal. Maybe that didn't help her, but someone could have helped if they were able to highlight to the coaches what she's doing there, that she's actually playing and that kind of thing. Sometimes going out may not really always work best for you because you are very far from the coaches. They're not able to see you. Somebody who's local, but she's a young girl, Xiomara. She'll be back.
Yeah.
She'll do well. Also, I think after this settled a year from now, when she's at peace with everything, I'm very sure she'll be back.
Yeah.
I think people forget that when she was banished from the national team, it was us who fought really hard for her. People were accusing Xiomara of having smoked marijuana in South Korea. That never happened. It was just a normal cigarette, and she was not even supposed to be chased.
She smoked.
It was a normal cigarette.
She smoked even at your club. Even if it's normal cigarette, but did she smoke?
No, that's in her private life. They don't smoke during camp or during training or during the campus. So they'll
But you were aware of her smoking in private.
And
really. You knew that smoking, whether in private or not, it has an effect on a player.
No, their private lives, Zach, we don't superintend over them. Girls smoke, girls drink.
Which is a problem because we also understand that Alex Ferguson's success was that he monitored his players even in their private lives.
No, he can't do that. He would advise.
But he did.
No, he didn't. I will tell you, Anderson used to have parties at his house with Louis Nani and others. Was Alex Ferguson walking into that
house?
Well,
maybe at the house it's different. But clubbing, he used to interfere.
No, that's my point. Where Alex Ferguson had the advantage of a very proper media system in UK, where a player goes out, photographs are taken, and everything. You and me, Zach, cannot see a player who's at Cosmopolitan Mall dancing without media and all that. So there's a way that we manage our players. Yes, the girl may have made a mistake, but what was written about her was wrong. People never smoked daga in Korea. Should have been arrested. It was just a normal cigarette. She smoked in a non-smoking zone. The hotel didn't even want her evicted. Some staff decided to evict her. They chased her from the club. As a club, we fought for her. Justice was dispensed. She apologized for her mistakes. She went live on radio, on TV, and she apologized, and she was forgiven, and she was back. She even went to the World Cup. It was after the World Cup when things went sour because, one, she decided to stay away from training for months, I think for about a month and a half. So by that time, there was COSAFA, she was not picked. And then Zambia went to Morocco, she was not picked because she was not training. Then by the time she got back into training with us, that was about November, the team had picked up, others were the ones in the forefront. We had new players coming in like Kawange Mpopo and others who took her place. So by the time she was going to Europe again, she had missed so many months. But she's a young player. She'll be back. I don't think it's something that we need to worry too much. She's very talented and she'll make it.
Let's discuss another burning issue around women's football, that there is a lot of lesbianism in women's football. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, lesbianism in women's football, just like in social life, is a reality. It does happen.
In Zambia?
It does happen, yes. It's like smoking daga, what we just spoke about. It's a reality. It's illegal, but it's a reality. Murder is a reality, but it's illegal. Lesbianism is not allowed in Zambia by law, but it does exist. So I don't think it's something that I even need to confirm. Everybody knows that it exists. I think there's a predominantly...
does it exist in your team? In confidence, and you know of which players are lesbians.
Yes. I'm a father, so I'm a father. I think one of the thing you have to understand is some of the girls who are lesbian, they are born what we call intersex. Intersex is a kind of situation where I'm born. I may not have complete sexual organs. For example, I can have a vagina, but I don't have a womb inside. Or I may have testicles inside as opposed to having ovaries, but I've got a vagina. Or I may have underdeveloped vagina and an elongated clitoris, which is more like a penis, and so on and so forth. So there are many abnormalities that happen that make some of these girls actually to just have feelings for fellow women and not for men because they feel more of a man. It's not their choice.
Are these some of the things you get to discover medicals?
Not really. I think their medicals are private. We don't really have to ask doctors to tell us which girls are intersex and that kind of thing. There was an intrusion by CAF when they wanted to be testing girls and checking hormone levels and all that. But I think FIFA intervened and we don't really go that far. I think what we do is personally, like for me as a parent, most of the girls, whether they are intersex or they are lesbian, they are welcome at my club. I don't think I'm breaking any law by loving them because they exist unless someone wanted to kill them or they exist. So lesbianism is a fact. We don't encourage it. It's banned in our club. We don't allow players of. We do discover sometimes they are dating, and we have a policy at Elite. If you are dating, the two of you, we choose the one who's better to stay, the one who's worse we chase. So if we have two star players, one of them will have to go. So every season, whenever we discover those who are dating, sometimes we get rid of both. If they are dating a fellow woman and they do it outside the club, that's fine. That's their private life. These are facts, Zach.
As long as it's not a fellow player in your club.
Yes. If they do it at their homes and everything, that's their private life. We respect that. I'm aware of a number of girls that actually live as a couple and it happens and there's nothing we can do. That's their life. We have to respect that. It's not for the law, but I'm not the police to arrest them. Let the police handle it if they want. But I think we need to recognize that there are medical conditions that lead to these conditions and situations, and we have to respect that. I'm not an advocate for same-sex marriage. I'm not an advocate for LGBT rights, but I'm a liberal, and when someone is doing it and I'm aware, I respect that.
Does it have any rules or laws around it now, especially when it comes to signing players abroad? Are there clubs today that would put a condition on a player that she must be lesbian to join the club, or she must support lesbianism to join the club? Are there such?
No, I think I know where you are leading.
I know, but let's talk about it. These are burning issues.
You are trying to suggest that in America, where there's a lot of LGBT rights movements, they may have recruited Kundananji and Barbara and Chanda, and maybe the three may be lesbian, and then maybe
where they may be subjected to a particular clause that they must be.
No, I'm very
because the most controversial is the recent kiss of the rainbow flag by Barbara Banda in her celebration.
I'm very heterosexual, Zach. I've never had feelings for a fellow man. I've always had sex with females. I have no fantasies about a man, but I would similarly kiss a rainbow flag simply because it's just respecting that those who are gay, let them be gay in their own space, as long as they don't try to impose it on me. I don't think what Barbara did was anything wrong. First and foremost, she was in America. She's in America. She's not kissing it in Zambia. Where she is, the jurisdiction has no problem with that. And it was in the Pride Month, and in that period, it was okay. So I don't see a problem with that. So I don't think I'm very close to Barbara Banda. I'm very close to Grace Chanda. I'm very close to Kundananji. When they come to Zambia, almost all the time, we have chats and we talk about private life and all that. But they were not signed because of any insinuations that they could be gay or not. Neither am I here to confirm whether they are gay or not. No. But there's no truth in suggesting that their signing to go to America had to do with either them supporting gay rights or them being gay. No, they were signed purely on who they are, how good they are on the pitch. We saw what Kundananji did at the World Cup. We saw what she did in all the friendlies before that. We've seen what she's done in Spain. She was the best player, save for the actual player who was voted the Ballon d'Or winner. Kundananji was number 2 to the Ballon d'Or winner. So I don't know what else somebody would suggest about how good Kundananji is. Barbara, what can you say about Barbara? She's the best player in American League right now. So those girls went to America in their own merits. We'll see more Zambian girls going to America. And again, it goes down back to the point I mentioned of lobbying. We have a person in America called Lisako, who was an assistant to Bruce Mwape at the World Cup, who's been one of those pushing for these players because Lisako has connections in America and she was able to push for these players. So it is more of people like Lisako pushing and agents than the issue of gayism or whatever. So I can tell you straight, that doesn't. Actually, at Elite, we have more we try by all means to get more of these gaily looking players. There's always an issue about these girls who like dressing as men. Like I mentioned, some of them are born intersex. They identify more as men. Allow them to dress the way they want. Don't make them feel uncomfortable because there's a way that they feel. It's like forcing men to wear skirts. In other countries, people wear skirts. But here in Zambia, we are born that way. We identify that way. How would we feel? Me, I'm Lozi. We do wear Musisi. We feel comfortable with those. But if I told you, Zach, to wear Musisi, you wouldn't feel comfortable because you don't identify that way. So even these girls, those who feel like dressing like men, allow them to dress how they feel comfortable. Don't force them to dress the way you want. But we do encourage a lot of our girls at Elite itself. We have a disposition towards the gay players. We have some of the cutest girls in the league. Most of them are very heterosexual. They will dress up as ladies. They will have lipstick when playing football. They will have eyelashes and all that, mascara and all that. So I think it's about just being liberals, respecting the girls for who they are, and there are no laws anywhere that promote lesbianism in women's football.
I know that it's been loud around sexual favors for a player to get a place in a national team or any other important selection. We understand there are quite a lot of sexual favors with the powers that be. How true is that?
When I came in women's football, I was coming from men's football.
Yeah.
One of the things I realized was
I think my question would be the fact that you're running a ladies' football. Do you get reports from your own girls that, look, ABCD, the powers that be, wanted to sleep with me to any place in the national team? Do they bring back such reports?
National team, no. I've heard a lot of stories previously in the national team. I know of former coaches that used to molest. I think it's dying down. It used to be very common. Even in clubs, it used to be very common. I think it's dying down. I'll give you a very good example. When I was growing up, Zach, and it's a fact, I'll say it on radio, and believe it or not, I had a girlfriend when I think I was 17. My girlfriend was 15 that time. I was 17. So I didn't know that it was illegal. And we were going out. I mean, 2 years gap, it's not very big, but she was underage. So I only realized I was breaking the law when somebody at Unza called Kelly was arrested by Judge was it Kawandami? I can't remember the judge that time. Who arrested her and who arrested Kelly, and he was jailed for I think 15 years for sleeping with an underage. That's when I woke up legally to say, oh, so it's actually illegal. I didn't know. So in the years we are coming from, most of these coaches may not have known they were doing something wrong, sleeping with players and molesting girls. It was quite common. And then sometimes you have to understand that football is a sport where most of the girls have got very high testosterone levels, which is the male hormone. So they have high sexual drives. So they will come for you. They do come for us. But if you are in women's football opposed to the team, trust me, all these controversies we get where you fight with players, they want to go, they say all the bad things. Now imagine you were sleeping with them. That's the first thing they will do. They will show the world all the evidences and things like that. So I think it's something that administrators have been learning slowly to understand it's not supposed to happen. It's been happening historically, but it's slowly dying down. On Mr. Bruce Mwape, I don't think I've seen any evidence to prove that Mr. Mwape has been sleeping with players. So until we have that evidence, it becomes very difficult that is being attacked. I think the old man is being attacked maliciously for now, especially that these things come before tournaments and they're coming from abroad. But if there's evidence and for tourists been doing it, then you have to pay for that. We all have to pay for our sins. For now, before there's any evidence and everything, I think it needs our support. We need to support the man. He's put in quite a lot. If he has to go, let him go at the right time in the right way.
Yeah. Do you have any ambitions beyond elite as a club, in as far as administration is concerned?
Yeah. As at now, Zach, I think there's a lot of when you talk about ambition in football. For me, I think what makes me joy is to develop players. I think I'll do it for the next 20 years. I'll develop young players. When you see Xiomara Mapepa, I feel proud of her. When I see Pauline Zulu, because most of these players, they make their names at our club. They are not known before they come. That's how we buy our players, young and tested, and they make their name. But they come from somewhere. Pauline came from Pataki. Xiomara came from Chivolia. Comfort from Solezi Academy. State from Musport, like I mentioned. So we want to make to develop these players, but beyond that, we want an environment in which we are able to develop players. Right now, I feel like the environment, especially in Lusaka, is not conducive. I feel that the Lusaka leadership at the provincial level is allowing a lot of corruption. Selection of players is not being done the right way. And I feel I can make a difference. I feel I've got the right ethics and morals to make a good leader at Lusaka level. So next year, definitely I'll stand for Lusaka chairperson. And Lusaka chairpersons means I'll sit in the executive and I'll be able to then influence at the national level what Mr. Kamanga or Mr. Kalusha or Mr. Chikumbi or whoever it is that will win next year. I'll be able to influence.
I thought you would go for the top job.
No, I'm not ready right now. I think for you to be a president of the FA, there are a number of factors that you need to have. One of them is you need to be able to bring in a large resource base into the game. I think I'm doing very well in that area as an individual. We've been able to get companies like Half-Life Financial Services to finance Elite. I'm wearing a tracksuit. Those who are watching the show on Facebook, they're able to see this. This tracksuit is much more quality than most of the Super League teams in the men's side have. This is financed by Half-Life. Inside, I'm wearing a t-shirt, a black label t-shirt by Zambia Breweries. We partner with them. So we are partnering a number of companies. Napoli Properties, which owns Lewanikamo.
Yeah.
We are able to use time when big clubs like NAPSA, Buffaloes were not allowed. Elite was playing there. Because of that partnership, we're partnership with Foley Limited, East Park Mall at the Game Zone. We have partnerships with the National Sports Council. We're able to train and live at NASDAQ. So I'm on the right track. I'm able to attract companies into the game, but not at the level of a first president. I think first president, we need much more. Someone has to be a little bit stronger. So as at now, I think we have the choices of the likes of Mr. Kamanga, Kalusha, and others who are vying for it. Personally, I feel after this term, the one we are starting in February, we need to have a completely new crop. At that time, I'll see whether I'll be ready or whether we'll have a better alternative than me who I can support. But by that time, we need to be moving away from the faces that we've seen for the last few years. Mr. Kamanga's got the last 4 years to go. He's done 2 terms. The constitution allows a 3rd term. So meaning he's got the democratic right to stand. Those who hate him will hate him. Then he's got those who love him. So we have to allow the process. If he gets the votes, he continues. For me, I always mention that the unfortunate thing is that the most vocal people normally are not even those that vote. It's the fans. They will make their decision based on, they will look at the national team, especially the men's football team, and they will say, Kamanga must go. But then you find the clubs look at different parameters and matrices. They will look at things to like, are the clubs performing well? Are we getting funding? Is the environment conducive? And usually that's where Mr. Kamanga gets his votes. Right now, we have a number of women's teams, for example, that vote. Are you telling me they will go different? No. So those, for me, he's got 4 years. Let him be allowed to stand. He's got democratic right. Let him campaign democratically, and When the people feel they want him, let him go. When people want him to continue, let him go for it. And if he wins, he wins.
Yeah.
If he loses, he loses. Coming to Kalusha, also Kalusha has got the right to stand. He served 2 terms as president. He served as vice president for 4 years. So meaning as a leader, he was in FAS for 12 years. As a footballer, he was in football for about 40 something years. I think total he's been in football for about 42 years, because he came in football in 1982. Then he played until about 2006, somewhere there, 2008. So meaning he's been in football for about 42 years. So for me, I would feel that is quite long. He should have given way, but it's not me to decide for Kalusha. He's the greatest footballer we've ever had, maybe outside Alex Chola and Godfrey Talu. He's the biggest football brand that we have at the individual level. If he feels that is his level, it's not for us to tell him to elevate. Yeah, maybe the only problem has been that the constitution allows him to stand, but it's been stopped mostly by this ethics requirement that he has to pass. But I've always guided Kalusha and his handlers to say, look, the only cure to that problem is for Kalusha to go to FIFA, where he was banned, and then to get a clearance to say that ban now does not affect his eligibility. If FIFA writes, I'm sure FAS will have no problem but to allow him to stand. So there are a number of people that want to stand. Others have not confirmed. We just hear rumors. Keith Mwemba wants to stand. A very brilliant young man. He's a brother from, we're together at Unza. He's running Muza. He's doing much better than a number of teams that are run by companies and industries. He's funding from his pocket. The team is doing very well. I think he's a good candidate as well if he stands. We've heard rumors about Mr. Kashala. We've heard rumors about Godfrey Chikumbi. Chikumbi has confirmed, and others. Then there are the usual likes of Gideon Mwenya, who normally stand, Munaile, and others. So let the best man run. In 4 years' time, maybe I'll be ready. By that time, I'll be able to confirm. But for now, I can tell you straight that, yeah, for Lusaka, I'll go for it. I feel I'm the person who can change the face of Lusaka. We need to invest in infrastructure. Grounds in Lusaka are not doing well. I've proven that I can work on a ground and do it very well. We have a very good ground at Nasdaq, which I invested in, and it's the best ground now for social football, Madalas and the like. So we want to do that, work on talent, develop infrastructure in Lusaka, and so on and so forth.
You have been an administrator, for a football administrator, for quite some time.
Almost 20 years.
And I must say that you have been an administrator both under Kalusha's rule and under Kamanga's rule.
Yes.
Would you say football has developed under Kamanga as opposed to the development pace or the rate at which it was developing under Kalusha Walia? And what do you use to determine improved football when most fans judge the performance of FAS presidents based on how many times the national team qualifies to AFCON and how the national team performs at major tournaments? Where then would you say the best way to determine improved football is not just about qualifying to the AFCON?
Yeah, like I said, me as an individual,
yes,
I'm a councillor.
As an administrator,
yes,
as well.
Yes, I'm a councillor. I vote, and when it comes to vote, I'll vote. What I will look at will not be the national team. That I can tell you straight. It will not be the national team, because the national team is the apex. There's more that happens before the national team.
Right.
I have a number of players who are at the national team, but Zach, they spend a lot of time at the club. There's a lot we do to develop those players. Feeding them is one of the areas. If you look at elite ladies players, a number of them have got big bodies. They are strong. They eat well, and we push that. It's an agenda. We like jokingly saying, Ukazidia 4 lamps of Shima. Of course, they can't manage, but you know what I mean. Like, we mean they need to eat more. They need. So there's a lot that happens at club level that determines for me what a leader is. Yes, you asked me a straight question. Has football improved under Kamanga? I would generally say yes. We have better systems. We are able to register players in a better way. There's more seamless transfers. There's more sobriety in that area. Already you've said the women's league and the women's national teams are doing much better. There's nothing we can say. So in terms of the global level, because of the women's team, Zambia's name is better known now than the way it was that time. We can't argue about that. In America now, Zambia, because of Barbara, and in the World Cup that happened, Zambia. We have Olympics, Zambia, top 12. So on that level, yes. On the men's side, it has gone down. Like I mentioned, we haven't done well.
Are they being given the same support? For example,
the men's football is given predominantly more support. It's funded better. It has the lion's share. Actually, for me, I think maybe that's where the problem is. Maybe there's too much money pumped into the men's game to a point where people are complacent. Women's football is not easy. I mean, women's football is not easy. These girls sacrifice a lot to be where they are. Some of them forgo. I'll tell you straight, we don't always pay our players. There are months where we can go 2-3 months, we haven't paid them, and then later on we have money, we cover up for the months or whatever. So these girls sometimes, if they wanted, they would agitate, but they understand to say, there's something I'm developing towards, and they do make it. At under 17, we have 3 to 4 players. We may even have as many as 7 going to the World Cup, because we're signing some of those who are at other clubs coming in. At under 20, we have maybe 3-4 that always go. At senior team, we have about 4 players consistently. So we have even signed the new players who are like 13, 14, 15, targeting next year's under 17. So this is how we do it as a club. So for us, we look at as a club, I would say, am I able to run my club? Is the environment conducive? Is this fast doing a good job? I'll say yes, and I'll vote yes. So, because I will not look at the national team. But for a soccer fan, it's different. If soccer fans were also part of the AGM, trust me, Kamanga wouldn't be there. But like I said, it's not national team, which is the only factor. There are so many other factors that we look at.
This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue. Shalala Oliver Sepiso, the Chief Executive Officer of the Elite Ladies Football Club, is our guest this morning. And of course, we will be taking phone calls because we realize that your participation is important. So you will call us on 0955 221515. Send us your message as well, if you'd like, on either WhatsApp or indeed SMS to 0761 912493. Once again, the SMS line is 0761 912493. Also, use that same line for your WhatsApp. So let's take this call. I will ask you to get your headsets on. Good morning. Twashibuka shani mkwai.
Chibuke chikuru wacha bagese munchana.
Ine ndi bino munishani mkwai.
Neriwa lidanda.
Atibani mkwai.
Nine Shalala Oliver Sepiso.
Ati
okay, Shalala.
Ishi na mule
tuma ni Kingford, the voice of my thought.
Kingford.
Koka banana. Yes.
Yes, ba Kingford.
Chawama mule study meet ukutira ti organization ya recruitment ya football tayaba bwino. Especially fwe baishire muri bakaunda. Ifire chika lero ku football nesi aliko akare si ali rubani. Ngamwamona akare tu alikwete Moscow. Yari ambira mwamacha pesho bane muri nsumini
Shishinka.
Organization even bakaunde funde yali kosereko ichi company bakaunda
turerufi yako network mkwai
network na issue pay network mwandini
mkwai
na trepo aseba tupere kofie schedule ya network
apo PNFM imini hapo konkanya nipo nomba turemyu.
Okay, so nde myebo kutira ati kwali Moscow kwa bana Coca-Cola Cup evening ngamwamona ba national service efe bare study recruit they were going mumishi. I remember when I was in Serenge nishindeti ya muri ba mataya na ba madaras ba disendre kwa ba ichebamo kuma daras na kuri ba mataya. You see, so organization yali buno sana at the particular ngamwamona efe yare kitika muri ba Karuisha bwalya football yale tekwa bwino. But when it comes kuma payment ya ma players tayari bwino. The referee chitika kuli bakamanga payment ya ma players ili bwino but football tairenda bwino. Ero ababe ne abayiche mwate mwamundusa ko kuda study kuroti aba. Nimpo chalo nitabako sa mubora teti bakwani 90 minutes. kabieni kumushi nalilandira okutira ati like nga mulefu aya height advantage defense na mid nga mwaya kubalozi na kubatonga balikosa muli bora ina literepo bora pale mwali vyechiwa pa fish control nga muli akukaoma mwapita pakaoma ulukasa kuingira almost half musandi ukuti balikosa bali abantu but tamufwayo kuya mumishi ukuti tadikulisha abantu. You see, me, I was a coach, nali coaching leko ba Rhino Rangers. You know what Rhino Rangers baba kumpika. Baba kulia kwa mukungule. 2018 coach aisa babutuka na ile ku project. Baisa mpira ma games ya 6. Ukuba coaching ako. You see, I know aba ichofyo bakosa. But recruiting yenu imwate mwa ukukosera mulusa kamunko kosharo niki. Aba kuti 30 minutes nchumuntu arafoka kwati abutuke 90 minutes. Awe, chingeni strategy ya kusitira muri kuruti ama players. Thank you very much.
Totela Kingfoot. 0955-221515 is the number you can call us on. I have a message here says, hey Zach, well articulation from Shalala. Would you make a comment on the rumors that the best defender in the name of Belemu was left out due to refuse or in exchange for sex or favors? And what would you make?
The guest says, yes, you asked the question between whether the football is being fine in Zambia or not, and then he agreed to say, yes, football is doing fine. For me, I disagree with him. It's not about just paying people while the money is going without a plan for football. As you can see, even clubs now, we are just whipping boys. Our clubs now, we are qualified. We are whipping boys. We can't even stand with any club. You know, we have Champions League now. But we remove, I don't know, maybe we have only 2 teams which is competing for Africa level. This is what is showing us. Our football here in Zambia has gone down. Even that Africa Cup under 20, it came from under Kalushabada. You see, even Kalushabada had a very good plan for the national team. These guys were doing fine. As you can see, this is the Banda. They came afar from Kalushabada team. And then they have come to make a name in Kamanga's time, showing that Kamanga is doing fine. Quite okay. Yes, there is clubs for the women's team. By that time, it was just improving. You see, we can't say that no, things were not okay, clubs, but we have forgotten that this material, it has come from Kalushabada. Even the national team of men national team, that is under 20 which came from Kalushabada. And Kamanga, when he came, he just found those people have already qualified, and Kalushabada proposed for the Africa Cup to be played here in Zambia. So for us, like as Kamanga, leading the national team, I'm telling you, at football house, he has failed. No any Zambian that will need this administration to continue. And then some people have died with PP. Only that some of them, they don't record. Ni joti matamba wanda wafate inango. BP inange na de inango. And then kuza hospital wakuchitamedi for 1 month ungo doa BP wafa. It started from the same when we lost the football. People are losing money every day, betting with Malawi, losing to any small team. They have become a very whipping boys. Under Kamanga, qualifying once. How many years? Even now, we are losing people suffer. We are not even scoring even a goal. The policies that we have, buying players, my foreigners in my club, while your own players are on bench. This is what now we are saying, that let's change our mentality, whereby you buy more professionals in my club, and then your own players are not even playing. They don't have game time. This is what we are saying. Sometimes, even you see, sometimes in under Kalushabada, we used to have the best, we used to have the best selected versus the left. You see, those are people where you can find some of the players with Maya Sanga. But they are in the Copa Belt Midland. Why is that they are on Lusaka? And under Kalushabada, we see those rising stars where people they were going in rural areas, having those tournaments, Coca-Cola, Shanyuko, Airtel, rising stars. That's under Kalushabala. You see now when people are performing this time in my club.
Thank you.
That's why we are saying that it's not everything. If people want to be voting just because they are eating at Fazi or they are eating in the clubs, and then let people start dying with TP, continue voting for him.
Thank you, Mr. Francis, for coming. Take note, he mentions of the quota system. Very important to also look at, has it affected our football, or indeed it has improved our football. Let me take one more, then you can respond. Good morning.
Good morning, Zach. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Brother Chisha?
Exactly. You're speaking to Brother Chisha in Lusaka.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you, my brother. Shalala, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
Very fine. I've been following you in different radio stations. You know how to explain issues. But it's also a pity that you're not saying the truth, especially for today. Where you said the Spurs is doing fine and the football-wise, we are doing fine as a nation. Where do you get that confidence from, Mr. Shalala? Because when I was listening to you in the past, I was even like, we have people like Shalala who can even take over from Kamanga, because the way you were explaining issues very, very well. But today you are disappointed me because you can't say we are doing fine as a nation. How many goals did we have when we attended Kosafa? Honestly speaking, that's to you, Mr. Shalala. Can you say we are doing fine where football is concerned in Zambia?
Let me get the clarification. At what point did I say Zambian football is doing well?
Yeah, because I was following you when you asked the question, are we doing better as a nation where football is concerned? Then you said,
no, there was no such question. There was no such question. Let me just help you. Zach asked me as an individual, if I go to vote for Kamanga or against, what would be the parameters that I will use and how would my decision come out? That was the question. The question was about how football was. We broke it down with Zach. We spoke about how bad the pitches are. We spoke about how lack of talent is. We spoke about poor recruitment. So how do you get the sense we said it's doing well when we actually gave all the problems and we even spoke about how we can solve them?
So voting, maybe that's why I missed your answer.
So you can't debate my opinion. You can't debate my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. Listen to me, Shalala. I'm saying the issue of voting is your opinion, but as long as you are on the public forum, you are entitled to be criticized because you are not speaking from your own place. You are on the radio where you are reducing your thoughts and your thoughts are supposed to be challenged. So if you ask me to say I'm not entitled to debate your thoughts, as long as you're in the public forum, we need to talk about it. Listen to me now, Shalala, and listeners out there. Mr. Kamanga has failed completely. Just like Kalushawalia failed, that's what also Kamanga is doing. And I'm employing now people who can come and control football in Zambia. Please, chip in before it's too late. Mr. Kalushawalia was running fast in South Africa. Kamanga is also running fast in Zambia, but he's doing nothing. That coach you have employed is wasting our money, our taxpayers' money. The best you can do is to let that man go as soon as possible. So that maybe by doing so, you're going to bring another coach. You know, the problem which we have much in Zambia, we depend on things coming outside Zambia. As long as things which is local, don't want to promote it. Don't we have coaches who can coach the national team in Zambia?
We have one. We have one that went with the national team to Kosafa.
That's what I'm saying, Zach. Why are we not maintaining the local ones? All what we need is just to make a name. No, we have a white man who is coaching national team. No, we have a coach who is coming outside Zambia. Look at the results. Are we able to deliver? That's the question. Are we able to work as the way we're supposed to do? I'm a very, very disappointed person, especially to Mr. Kamanga. Mr. Kamanga's leadership is not helping us. It's such a pity that in the next election, I'm not entitled to vote. I was supposed to vote even twice, if not thrice, so that Mr. Kamanga can go. It's a failure.
Thank you very much, Brother Chisha, for your contribution. let's react. I mean, let me give you an opportunity to
Yeah,
respond.
I'll start with Mr. Trisha. Thanks for the confidence. When you say that Mr. Kamanga has failed, Mr. Kalusha has failed, and you are looking at people like me for the future, I think at the right time, I'll make myself available if I feel I'm ready and I can make a difference. I've repeatedly said that we shall develop as a country. Since you said you follow me on a number of radio stations, I'm sure you've heard me mention a number of times that as at now, we still have this legacy of the camps, the Kamanga camp, the Kalusha camp. And as long as we still have these camps, it will be difficult for us to develop the game. And until a time when these camps are no longer there, that's when we have much better development. So I've said that a number of times. And when you say Mr. Kamanga has failed, Mr. Kalusha has failed, again, that's your opinion. What I said was I was not going to debate your opinion, whether I say it's right or wrong, because it's neither here nor there. So you've got your right to that opinion, and I respect that. I'm sure a number of people respect. Similarly, I've said, if Mr. Kamanga wants to stand, allow him to stand. The Constitution allows. If he wins and he continues. Also, Mr. Kalusha, there are many like you who feel Mr. Kalusha has failed, but the Constitution allows him to stand. So if he wants to stand and is able to get clearance from FIFA, allow him to stand. That was my point. But when it comes to who I vote for, it is wrong for you now to tell me I'm wrong. No, because you don't know my situation, which brings me to the second last caller. I didn't get his name.
Francis?
It should be Francis. Francis mentioned something about us who may be seen to work with the current funds that we are eating from funds. Francis, the annual budget for elite ladies is 3.3 million kwacha. And many times we have a deficit of close to 2 million, but I still spend personally more than 1.5 million every year. So I don't understand the eating that he's talking about. There's no eating. I'm not a member of any committee at FAS. Yes, sometimes once, I think you know that when national teams are traveling, there's a lot of opportunity to travel. People can travel, sometimes even cadres of the ruling party under MMD, PF, UP, and it happens, they travel. Personally, I don't like doing that. I've traveled once on a FAS trip once, if that is the eating they're talking about. Which is the under 17 for the girls.
Last month?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
to Morocco?
Yes. Yeah. And I would love to travel for the Olympics. I would love to travel for the under 17 girls, because this is an area in which I operate, and I feel.
Do you solicit for these trips, or FAS in its own jurisdiction do select who can go on that trip?
It's not always FAS. Like for the World Cup.
No, like let's talk about Morocco last month for the qualifiers in Morocco. You were a delegation.
No, I wasn't.
Not a delegation. You were you traveled as what?
As myself.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I traveled as myself. So the World Cup, for example, the Ministry of Sports, PS, put me on the list to go to New Zealand, and government was going to fund, just like the other people that traveled. I refused to go because at that time, the team was preparing for the new season, so I didn't travel. So there will be times that I may travel, but that is on merit. I'm in the game. I produce players. I can support that team when others have traveled. But when you talk about eating from FAS, be very clear what you mean. We spend a lot of money. We don't eat anything. We do it because we love the sport.
Francis also brought out the issue that we are not doing enough in talent identification. We're not going into the rural to look for talent. And again,
he didn't listen.
You did criticize that part, but let's look at the identification in as far as talent identification is concerned, because we see most of the time under 17 men's team, the moment it is published, and then the list always has where from, you know what I mean? Yes. And it's always around the line of rail, and it comes with a lot of criticism as to why didn't you go to Chipata? Why didn't you go to Mongo? Why didn't you go to Kasama, for example? I don't know.
The administrators in the men's game can learn from us in the women's game.